Do you spend a lot of time in the car? You have to travel a lot?
Well, it's my mobile office.
How do people react when they see you arrive with the flag?
Well, brand Australia, I think, is quite strong in Poland, so people react really positively, and it's wonderful to have the privilege to fly the flag. People respond positively, often wave. Children come up and want to ask you about Australia, which is a wonderful feeling.
Have you had any notable people in this vehicle?
Oh well, we've had ministers. Obviously, I can't disclose everyone who's been in this, but yes, that's the whole point of having this vehicle.
Mr. Australian Ambassador, my first question is if it's even technically possible for you to leave one country and enter another, given your diplomatic status.
Well, thanks, Ryan. Well, you certainly don't leave forever. You come here on defined posting for a couple of years, so I guess you are here as a guest, and I think it's a wonderful privilege.
I understand that you are an Australian citizen, that you are an Australian diplomat, but that your origins are not actually from Australia proper.
That's right. What makes me, I guess, unique in the diplomatic corps here in Warsaw is that I'm the only ambassador who was actually born in Poland. My parents left in early 80s, during, you could say, the height of the solidarity movement. We ended up and Australia. I became, as a young boy, an Australian. I didn't think of diplomatic career at the time when I was going through school and university, but as it turned out, I did end up in the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade and became an Australian diplomat. And a couple of years ago, I was offered the position of heading our mission in Warsaw, being the ambassador to Poland, as well as the Czech Republic and Lithuania.
I'm curious what it's like for you emotionally, having this Polish heritage, having a connection with your birth country, your parents from this country, taking on a new country's flag to the extent that you are the diplomatic face.
It is something that in Australia we are completely comfortable with. It is just such a common thing that you're an Australian, we are all Australians, but of course you might be a Polish Australian, an American Australian. In fact, that multicultural fabric of our society is one of the biggest strengths of Australia.
I understand that the population of your country is kind of rapidly growing by immigration as well. Is that correct?
Indeed. We have a fairly high growth rate, and from 1970 to last year, the population of Australia has doubled, from 12.5 million to now nearly 25 million.
Tell me a little bit about what amazes you in Poland in daily life.
Living in Poland, in contemporary Poland, in Warsaw, has been a huge surprise for me. I've served in a number of places in Asia. I've served in Brussels. I've traveled to Poland a few times, but I'm amazed by the pace of development. You've got a very strong sense of the country moving forward. And of course that opens a lot of opportunities in terms of trade and investment between Australia and Poland, and economic diplomacy therefore is a very important part of my job here in Warsaw.
Tell me, what is a typical Australian person's perception of Poland?
Well, it's a perception that we're actually trying to change a bit. I think, like everyone, Australians need to update the perception of Poland. I think even people who might have visited here 10 years ago or 5 years ago, and they come back now, they find the place completely changed. I mean, it's a place where not only some of the most advanced global manufacturing is taking place, but also design, science, services. I certainly would like Australia to have a piece of the action.
What is the Australian approach to multiculturalism?
The whole policy of multiculturalism, the concept was developed by a Polish sociologist, a Polish-Australian sociologist, an advisor to our Prime Minister at the time, Prime Minister Fraser, a gentleman called Professor Jerzy Zubrzycki. So in fact, the model was designed by a Pole.
All right, Paul, tell me a little bit about your favorite places in Warsaw.
We are sitting in one of my favorite places right now. I mean, one of the, surviving grand buildings, Hotel Bristol. I think it's a wonderful postcard from the kind of Warsaw we could have expected to be the norm of every street in Warsaw. The fact that Warsaw, it could have been the Paris or Vienna of Europe, as much as any other capital in Europe, but because of its distraction, it has that wasn't possible. But this building has survived, and it is one of my favorite places to both do business business, but also to socialize and to enjoy. I love a combination of architecture. For a long time, we didn't appreciate the communist style architecture, but I think it has now found its own niche. People are looking at it and they know that this is a genuine part of Poland's history. It's something that can now be cherished, and it's very much part of the streetscape of Warsaw.
So tell me, how has Poland specifically impacted Australia? What mark did they make in your society?
Well, it's quite remarkable that Poland's made a huge impact on Australia. I mean, if you look at one of the earliest explorers, Paweł Strzelecki, helped us discover big parts of Australia that were previously unexplored. He named the highest mountain after a Polish hero, Tadeusz Kościuszko. Beyond that, successive waves of migration have brought a lot of different perspectives into Australian society. I would, of course, be remiss not to mention the contribution made by Jewish Polish community, a very vibrant and large community in Australia, particularly in Melbourne, but also in other cities. In fact, we have one of the highest populations of Holocaust survivors and the descendants still living in Australia.
I'm really curious how your daily life looks. What do you do here?
Well, I've got a variety of tasks as the ambassador. Most importantly is to literally fly the flag for Australia. It starts with getting in a car that has a flag on it, but when we say flying the flag, we really mean talking about Australia, making sure that Australian policies are understood by members of the Polish government, making sure that we build support for some of the key projects we are undertaking with Poland, but also being available to answer questions publicly about Australian policies, be it in the media or talking to students at universities. But beyond that, we compare notes on major international issues, security issues, ranging from security developments on the eastern flank of NATO and Schengen, which is where Poland is, but also developments in our neighborhoods in the Asia-Pacific, or Indo-Pacific as we call it now. We have a very strong track record of cooperation with Poland, particularly in multilateral forums, such as the UN and others. Come this way, Ryan. Well, if you come here, this is our seminar room. As you can see right now, we are preparing for a little seminar we'll run for Polish and Australian businesses on Australia-EU FTA. This is one of our largest economic projects with the European Union, and Poland's voice there is very important. And this is how we do the work at the embassy.
It's fantastic. It seems like you guys really provide a lot of opportunity. Where do the most critical meetings typically take place?
Most of the critical meetings take place inside Polish institutions. I visit the Polish Ministry of Foreign Affairs on a regular basis. It's a grand old building in the center of Warsaw, where we discuss policy approaches in a confidential manner. And of course, I do use the residence quite a bit to host special guests, sometimes ministers even, to discuss in a very safe, private setting some of the more sensitive issues in our relationship. We also host meetings at the embassy. Welcome to the Australian Embassy. As you can see the coat of arms, you got to taste them I think last time. Come through here.
That is true, I ate the coat of arms.
Great to have you. Right through here to your left.
So it's really an honor to...
So as you can see, the flags are flying. This is where we do our work.
What do the other two flags represent?
Very important. So this is the Australian flag, of course.
Okay.
Australian Aboriginal flag and the Torres Strait Islander flag.
And now this one always off-puts me a little bit because it reminds me of a German flag, but when it's extended
but
I can see that it's far different.
That's right, it's the Aboriginal flag with the beautiful sun and the black and the red. Well, this is our leadership team, as you can see here, the Governor-General, who's the Queen's representative, General Peter Cosgrove, Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, our very dynamic Foreign Minister, Ms. Julie Bishop, and equally dynamic Trade and Investment Minister, Mr. Stephen Chobo.
Fantastic. Now, if His Excellency were strolling down the street of Sydney, would everyone recognize him?
I think so. The four of these are among our most prominent Australians.
The rumor has it that you have your own 500 Plus program here in Poland. Tell me about that.
one of my big objectives is to increase the people-to-people linkages, more Poles in particular to travel to Australia, and we have a fantastic program which is a work and holiday program for young Poles, and we've managed to increase the number to 500, so there's 500 visas which allow people to work for up to 12 months. They can work and travel in Australia, but otherwise of course everyone's welcome. It's very easy to travel to Australia, both in terms of logistics, lots of flights for different destinations, and in terms of visas it's an online process. 3 months tourist visa is available to all Polish citizens, so welcome.
So you're telling me that if a Pole has an ambition to go to the other side of the world, the other hemisphere even, it's a few computer clicks away potentially, thanks to your program?
Absolutely, and you know, fresh emu steak is waiting for anyone who's interested.
Tell me, what are your favorite Polish foods?
Well, I've got a lot of Polish foods. Some of them are foods that I associate with my childhood. Things like bigos, for example. I do prefer Polish food in winter, though, when sort of a hearty Polish meal is absolutely fantastic. And one of my absolute favorites is actually żurek, the żurek soup, a very unique soup made on the sourdough starter. And I would say, so far, not particularly well known in Australia.
In America, everyone would know what kielbasa is, everyone would know what polski vodka is, and everyone would know what pierogi are. What about in Australia? Do people know any Polish staple dishes?
Well, definitely. Pierogi is well known in Poland, but I think polskie ogórki, so the gherkins in brine are a classic of all Australian supermarket shelves.
Indeed, you guys have some absolutely exotic food, as best I could describe it. Our viewers might not realize that last summer we enjoyed a meal together, and this guy fed me crocodile and kangaroo and animals that I didn't even know existed before the meal. It was a very strange experience. So absolutely, assuming you can't get a plane ticket to Australia, check out this video and see with your own eyes what the people in Australia eat. It is pretty much outrageous and interesting, but it was also a pathway to my heart and helped me fall a little bit in love with Australian culture. So, Paul, thank you so much for being on the program once again.
Thank you so much.